Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Sports Cheetah and Marco D'Angelo. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams laying 10. God, there's a lot of road chalk this week versus the Detroit Lions. I was on the Lions on Thanksgiving. I still have some issues about that one, and Matthew Stafford, that pick six was the dagger. Look-ahead line here was 7. So you have the Rams, who beat the Chiefs on Monday night, and then you have, then they go into
a week ago,
Monday.
Sorry, yeah.
A week ago, then they go into a bye week, and then you have the Lions, who was able to pull off the upset over Carolina, which I was on them, and then I took them again on Thanksgiving. Brutal, 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 but 3 points seems like a major move here for no apparent reason. Nothing really changed on the Rams front. And then obviously the Lions lost to a divisional rival. Marco, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on this one?
Well, that's exactly the point. Now, why is this line moved 3 points from, the look-ahead line? Because the Lions really, even though they lost the game by 7, they played well. They should have won the game. So they didn't do anything. It's not like they got blown out by Chicago and now we're seeing, the adjustment in the line. I think this is totally an overreaction. The books know that, they're going to figure, well, Detroit, that was their last hurrah. That game against Chicago, they have nothing to play for. True, they don't, but they have one of the 2 best teams in the NFC coming to their building. They're not going to just roll over and die. 10 points, to me, is too many points to lay on the road, especially when you got the Rams. Remember, this is a team that in their last 3 games have given up 45, 31, and 51 points. Do you want to lay that many points with a team like that on the road?
All right, Preston, your number on this game is?
So it would normally be, I think, 6.9 or 6.8. It's one of those two. But factoring in the bye week, then it ends up being closer to like 8.5. So I actually think it's pretty close. I would have said the 7 was short. I would say the 10's a little high, but neither is really worth a bet, versus the -110 that we have to lay. So I'm passing on the game. But my assumption is for maybe why there is some sort of reaction that seems high. Kerryon Johnson's questionable. They didn't have him last week, and they couldn't run the ball. And he's actually kind of been a nice little spark this season for the team in general, where Matthew Stafford and the Lions have actually had some sort of run game, which they haven't had for years. And if he's out, they don't have a run game again. And that's really difficult. And I do think I'm not going to just say and guess that the Rams' bye week's worth even more this time than other bye weeks would be. But they were reeling. Like, they played a bunch of games against tough teams, offenses that were really explosive. And reeling's like a tough word because they still beat the Chiefs and they were getting wins anyway. But they needed a break. Like, this was a huge, just kind of like, all right, let's take a breath, relax, breathe out. Now we have another game against an inferior opponent. I have a feeling they're going to, with the extra time and prep, I think they get it done. The number says it's a little high, but it feels like the Rams just take care of business. I would say if Kerryon Johnson's out, if he's in and the Lions have a run game, then I think, the +10 is probably worth a little bit.
I think you're right. If Kerryon Johnson gets announced that he's probable or whatever, I think we'll see this line maybe drop to 9.5. But I agree with Marco. This is just a lot of points. And like I said, there's a lot of games this week where I'm looking at taking some really ugly teams, catching double digits.
The weekend for NFL, all the favorites cover. I think of the favorites that won, they're like 7-2 against the spread. Not many dogs won. I mean, there's going to be a lot of dogs probably with value just inherently.
Final point for me, the Rams, if you look at their road games, the only road games that they dominated were against Oakland, who's pathetic, and San Francisco after they lost, Jimmy Garoppolo. Their other road games, 2-point win at Seattle, 3-point win at Denver, and then they got, blown out at 10 points in the Saints game. They were getting killed in that game in the Saints.
When they tied in the fourth quarter, though.
They did come back. They did. But Saints, that's the first time Sean Payton took his foot off the gas this year, and he hasn't done it since.
Yeah, can you blame him? All right, guys, $9 Monday at WagerTalk, and all daily pick packages for Monday's action, plus early college football and NFL, is priced at only $9, including any 5% best bets, normally priced at $30.